Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakthrough Moment podcast. Today's special guest is Ernest Wood. Thank you for joining us today, mate.
Good to be
So
here, man.
I'm excited for this. For those of you who do not know Ernest, he's actually a US Navy veteran. He is an author of 2 books as well. Get this, the books are called Asshole to Awesome, Journey to Joy and Happiness, and Chasing Awesome, Master Your Life with Balance. He's an absolute character and he brings so much value. I can't wait to unpack these books. He's also the High Achievers coach. So he focuses on helping CEOs, top tier CEOs and entrepreneurs who are earning over 500K a year, helping them master 4 key areas, which is their time, their physical, what is it, 5? Time, physical, mental, relationship, and legacy. And so I'm really excited to hear. I'm sure you've got a bunch of incredible breakthrough moments. But before we share that, Ernest, I'll just quickly introduce everyone to the podcast. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this podcast is around sharing successful entrepreneurs' pivotal moment that broke them through into the next level of success throughout their career. And as they share their breakthrough moments, we get to have breakthroughs in our own life as well. So let's dive into it. Take us on the journey. Give us a short story of your experience in entrepreneurship and ask a couple of these amazing breakthrough moments.
Well, thanks for having me on, Zach. Yeah, man, it's been a long journey. I'll just give you a quick where I came from. My mom was 14 years old when she had me. Single mom, raised in a tiny little town. Turned into a pretty bad guy. I did a lot of stupid little things growing up. Got in trouble. That's why I ended up in the Navy. Through the Navy, grew up a little bit. And then when I got out of the Navy, I worked in the power plants. But then when I was working in the power plants, I started getting into business. My first business was I owned a bar, and we did awesome at it. But like I took it up to my maximum level of incompetency. That's what I like to call it. Next one, I did a little financial stuff and I got up to a certain level, but then I'd fall off. And then I had 2 other little businesses, always got them up to a certain level and then they would fall off. And that's what I found out. Like, that's what a lot of people's problem is, right? They have this great idea and then they get it to a certain spot and they just can't get past that. My breakthrough moment was when I wrote that book and I figured out I had to get rid of some of my ego. I always thought I could figure it out. I did it better than everybody else and all that stuff. But when I learned that I needed to hire like a mentor, a coach, and then I could outsource all the little things I didn't know. So instead of, plugging away and trying to figure out every little step and every little thing, outsource it. Made the biggest breakthrough in the world. Was the best, all the greatest business people, all the greatest athletes, actors, actresses, all have coaches. We need them. And that is a major breakthrough that can put you to your next step 100% if you don't have one.
100%.
I mean, that's the biggest breakthrough, dude.
Yeah, for sure. No, I can totally relate. I think when I first started my journey, I saw myself trying to figure it out myself and thinking that I had to become better, and then I would try to bring that greatness to the world, so to speak. But I didn't realize that I could actually ask for help and have other people share their wisdom so I could, I guess, borrow their advice or knowledge or breakthroughs so then I could become greater faster. So it was, that's a big realization for sure. And I'm really glad you spoke about the ego. This is a big one, the ego. And there's many entrepreneurs out there right now that I'm sure that they are struggling with that. Maybe similar thing in terms of maybe not asking for help or not getting a coach, or maybe feeling like their egos, I guess, stopping them from growing. Do you have any advice on how to, I guess, tame or control the ego?
It's funny. That's a great question, because it's funny when you talk to successful people, they all have egos. We all have it, right? And like to be truly successful, you got to have a pretty big ego because you got to be willing to get kicked in your nuts. I'm just going to say it, get back up and just, believe in what you have. So the big thing is just kind of trying to think of the best way of saying it is just realizing that you don't know everything, right? And when you're able to accept that, hey, there's always going to be somebody better. I don't need to know everything. And it's just that process, man. It's maturity. There's a lot of us at 25, 27, 30 years old, I know I was nowhere close. And it just comes with maturity. Once you get kicked in the nuts so many times, man, you're just you almost have to let go of the ego and just hire that guy or woman to help you out to get to that next level.
Absolutely. Did that change the success in your business from that moment forward when you started to get coaches or ask for help, reach out? What results came as a result of you getting a coach?
So like there's so many great ideas out there, right? And there's so many great businesses. But the big thing is we're not known. Like until you become known or you grow your brand big enough, you don't get hired. You don't make money. I mean, we'll just use McDonald's as an example. Probably make the worst hamburger, worst for you, worst tasting hamburger in the world, and they sell the most hamburgers, right? And why is that? Because everybody knows their brand. So like to go and create your brand, because you might have an idea, oh, this brand sounds fantastic, but you run it by a couple people or you run it by the coach or you run it by that mentor and they go, nah, let's tweak that brand and let's aim it over here. Because my first idea, like on this coaching was I wanted to go to all the small people, but and I don't mean small people in a negative way. It's just like everybody's making under $50,000. There's going to be a whole bunch of people and they're all going to jump on it and want to learn how to make it. The problem is they can't pay your bills. And that's as an entrepreneur or as a business owner, you have to have your bills paid and you have to go to the right crowd. You have to know who your client is.
100%, 100%. I'm super curious, Ernest. So, you've been on a bit of a journey now, and you've gone through, as a veteran. How did the being in the Navy and that type of training, how did that impact your business today? Has that been a foundational element of discipline or focus or resilience?
Yeah, man, I lacked discipline big time growing up. The Navy did help me out with my discipline big time. I just give you a quick story. When I was in the Navy, so we stood watch at our different ships, and this what was that lead petty officer came in, and I'm like, hey, what's up? You're supposed to give him the whole military thing. And I'm like, hey, what's up? What's up? Not you. Let's get down and start doing some push-ups, right? So I'm doing push-ups for hours. And then, so that was one learning lesson. The next one, I was the secretary of the ship. A ship is like the whole little boat or the building that you're in while you're in boot camp. So our meeting started at 5 o'clock. I showed up at 5:10 because our crew went out and was able to play basketball. I got beat so bad that my fingernails started cramping. So between those two things, I learned respect and I learned to never, ever be late to anything. And when you take those into the next world or a business world, don't ever be late. If you're 10 minutes early, you're pretty close to being late. And then just respect everybody. Give them the respect that's due, right? So yeah, that was two huge things I took away from the Navy.
Wow. There's no way you'd be saying that again to an officer or anything like that, or secretary, and then there's no way you'd be coming in late unless you wanted to be beaten.
Yeah, it wasn't fun, man.
That's painful. I couldn't even imagine. Wow. Let's learn from Ernest's mistakes, guys. That was a breakthrough moment in itself.
That was a breakthrough moment.
So here's an interesting question. So if you could go back to the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey and change one thing, what would that one thing be?
I'm telling you what, I've mentioned it before, I would have just hired somebody early, man. Somebody, or I would have found a mentor. Like when you grow up, you know how I told you I grew up with a single mom. I never really had that mentor. My mom we were almost friends. We were almost the same age. So I didn't have that true mentor in my life. So if you can find a mentor, the one of the best sayings is from I believe it was Jim Rohn, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. You know, you gotta narrow that group, maybe find a mentor in that group, but definitely up your group. Don't be hanging around with a bunch of ducks if you want to be the swan, man.
That's a great point. That's a great point for sure. What would you say is the key message from today's interview? What's the one message you really want people to go home with?
One message. I would say, you know, it is okay not to know everything. It is perfectly okay. There's a little saying, no one's perfect and you're not going to be the first one. So like once I learned that, it helped me get past that little spot of not being able to hire the coach, right? Get a mentor, get a coach. It is okay not to know everything. And it makes you a better person to be able to admit it, man. So I would say that 100%, man, that would be the most impactful thing for just to learn those little things right there.
Yeah, for sure. So you really focus on and specialize in helping those areas that I mentioned before, the physical, mental, relationship, legacy, and time. Like, for someone who's busy, they're an entrepreneur, they've got a business, they've got such a small gap of time to really focus on themselves, to even think about the word legacy maybe, or even to look after their relationships. How do they juggle these such important parts of their life and still achieve in business? Is there a method? Is there a formula? Like, how do they really create, progress in all of these areas? Because I guess if they don't do that long term, the relationships can fall off, our body can fall off, our mind can, get impacted. Time wise can just kind of go past. And we kind of forget, oh gosh, we've just spent all this time. How do you support these entrepreneurs to do that?
So, dude, that is the big, that was my, passion. Once I learned that little thing, that became my passion because I see so many people, they're just trying so hard to be successful, and success, in a lot of people's minds, only about money, right? And that's when you're only aiming towards money, you're going to start falling apart in other areas. I'll kind of relate this back to the Navy. So in the Navy, I learned a lot about equipment. I was a journeyman machinist, so I knew how to align and balance equipment. And if you have a slow piece of equipment that doesn't really do anything, it doesn't matter if it's out of balance. It can go around slowly and it's not going to affect anything. But when you're trying hard in life and you're running at your maximum level, right? You're spinning fast. Being a little bit out of balance starts to wear on that machine, and that machine is going to break. So what I teach people is small little habits, right? It's more about the quality of time and the efficiency of time, not just time itself. Everybody loves to say, man, I put in 17 hours of work today. I'm tired. Well, if you really look at it, you probably put in about 3 hours of true work, right? And then you're tired because you were there all freaking day, but you didn't do a whole lot. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. What I do now with my writing and everything, I set a timer for 28 minutes. 28 minutes is the max amount of time that my little brain can handle 100% focus, right? It's going to be different from everybody, but there's studies that say about 20 to 28 minutes is like usually the max. Sometimes you'll have these fantastic people that can take it out to 40 some odd minutes, but find your time, set a timer, get rid of all the other crap, and that's your task, right? And then when you're done with that 28 minutes or whatever it is, you get up, you move around, you get some blood flow, and like give yourself 5-10 minutes to reset, come back in and attack it 100%. Stop trying to multitask. That crap doesn't work. All that does is make you less efficient. Now you have to spend more time. And then if you do that with everything in your life, right? You do that, like maybe you only can give your kids the hour a day because you have to build that business. But if that's the best quality hour that you can give them, like no cell phone, no nothing, you're just having a loving time with your kids, dude, they're gonna love it. You're gonna have more balance, and it's just gonna be a better time for you to succeed.
100%. 100%. Do you recommend any books or resources that entrepreneurs can go away with today? Obviously, your books. As
Yeah,
well,
hey, that's a good one.
and then I'd love you to share a little bit more about your books and how people can get their hands on them.
Awesome. I have a few books. I wish I would have wrote that list. I had my list and I put it over here. Arete by Brian Johnson. Absolutely fantastic book. Absolutely awesome. Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Probably the book that kind of put me to that next little step. It's all about creating those little tiny habits. And that's another good Micro Habits. Anything by Jim Rohn, the old dudes like Zig Ziglar and those guys, they're amazing. You know, you got to get some Stephen Covey in there. Just read, invest in yourself, man. And investing doesn't mean spending a whole lot of, money. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money. I mean, investing in your mind, man, invest in that time also. And again, be focused when you do it, because without focus, you don't get a whole lot out of it. Oh, and then you wanted me to talk about go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, tell us about your book. So how did that process start? Have you always wanted to write a book? And what was that process like for you? Are you a natural writer, or was that kind of against the grain, or you just love writing? Yeah, take us through that process.
Honestly, I didn't like reading. I was a horrible reader, and then it all started when I figured out I didn't like where I was, right? So the cheapest way that I could figure out how to not, to get better was to find books. So I started finding books, and I think I've read over 500 some odd books now, man. I went on a mission of reading books. I read a lot, and you take a little something from every one of them. And then from reading those and in chatting with other people, a lot of people have that issue of they get stuck. Like you get stuck in the rat race, and sometimes you just keep on. I use the terminology asshole. Some people don't like it, but to me, that's just, you get stuck. You're grumpy. You have road rage. You come home, your wife's happy to see you. She just made dinner, and you're like, give me a beer. Let me sit down, dude. Like that was my thing of being an asshole. I had other bad moments, but that's where I got. It was just, I never had a true happiness or joy in my life. I mean, there were times, but the overall effect, right? So what I did was I tried to break it down into funny stories from my personal life, and give them little hints that can help you just not have to go through all the crap, right? And there's I'll give you one quick thing, is grateful. Being grateful can change your entire life. The little trick that I learned is every single day, most of the time I do it in the morning, every once in a while I have to do it at night, but I write 3 things I'm grateful for. One about me, one about my wife or my kids, and the other one is about the world. Something in the world. And being able to be grateful for what you have changes your mind, man. And then, so that was the asshole to awesome. The next one just became, because I start, along with that asshole, like a lot of these guys were successful individuals, and like they all had different issues. One guy was weighing almost 400 pounds, creating a fantastic business. But dude, he's going to be in the hospital pretty soon, right? The other guy was working on his third divorce. And this other guy, he's just an arrogant prick, but we're still working on that one. But so like mastering those, how to be more efficient, how to be more focused, and how to use your time wisely, there's no words for it, man. And I think, and that's where I found that there's so many people that are out of balance, that need that little push, and just holding them accountable.
So interesting. So interesting. I think, just meeting you for the last, 20 minutes or so, you have a great level of humor and, charisma that you bring into your stories and your life. And I think as a coach, there's nothing worse than like a strict coach that, you can't connect with, but I can really feel that you'd connect really well with your clients, and really bringing that humor in there, which is just part of your own personality. And that also shows through the books as well, because, I've never had the book, the journey from, arsehole to awesome, I think is a great title, is a really great title. Did you play with any other titles as well when you were brainstorming book titles?
On that one, no, like that one kind of popped in my head, and a group of friends, they were like, dude, you have to do it now. So that one took me about 4.5 years to write. It was a struggle. I would get one chapter and then I would quit, get another chapter. But then when AI came around, I started learning how to, it's so hard to write with a blank piece of paper, right? So like I use it to help set outlines. Another coach or a mentor almost, right? Just having something there on paper, keeping that brain going and like seeing it. So then I was able to spit the book out, I think, maybe 7 months. And then I'm probably about a third of the way done with this next one. And that's only been maybe 2 months. So yeah, once it starts flowing, man, it's cool. It's fun.
That's so great. So you used AI to give you a bit of structure and support with writing them? Yeah. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, some tips on that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy. Tips on that, man. Like, learn how to use AI also, because if you prompt it correctly, like what I do is I prompt it to write an outline, but I aim it for my specific target, right? My target is good. Like my target right now is like that 35 to 50-year-old man, usually a veteran, business owner, entrepreneur, somewhere in that area. And you can ask it, hey, do it with a little bit of humor, do it like George Carlin would do it, or do it, like whoever. And it just keeps it's actually very awesome, man. It gives out some fantastic stuff.
Oh, he's one of my favorite comedians, George Carlin.
Dude, he's so funny. He's so wrong, but so fun. And he's so right in a lot of ways.
He predicted the year that he was going to die. Like, what the heck? It's just, that's funny. It's not funny, but it's anyway.
I get you. Yeah, it is.
On that topic, the coaching industry, right? The industry and the world is changing so much because of AI and technology and software. What predictions, or what is the future of the coaching industry with the emergence of AI, do you think?
And that's one of the struggles too. I was having like a hard time. I had to talk to my coach about it, because I was like, dude, there's so much stuff out there. Like, is it going to take over? The big thing is you got to be authentic. You have to know who you are, right? Whatever you're doing. Like if you're a coach or you're doing a podcast, you can't just hop around and trying to catch the newest fad. It's going to go away, right? But if you're somebody that people can like, they can respect you, you have enough discipline, you can hold people accountable. Those are the things that's going to draw people to you. And that goes along with that brand, right? Back what we were talking about earlier. There's a lot of coaches out there, and I give them like big props, dude. Some of these guys, 22, 23 years old out there trying to coach people. To me, I couldn't, like, I'm that guy who can't ask anybody, like, if they haven't been there or at least done something in their life, it's hard for me to take that, that word, right? Now, if that 22-year-old is the biggest, most jack dude in the world, yeah, I'm going to probably use him for my, my physical training. But to be my finance guy or my mentor in business, so you just got to find the right people. You have to have the right fit, and you got to have passion in your product, right? And your product is you, and know how to sell it.
Yeah, I agree. Authenticity and human connection, you just can't beat it. So if AI does beat it, then we're all screwed.
Then we're not going to have to worry about our human. Yeah. That is a good call, man. That's a good call.
Until then, let's keep doing what we're doing. So I've left my favorite question to last. But before I ask the question, Ernest, please let us know, how can people get in touch with you? I'll put the links around here, but what's the best way people can get in touch and to get their hands on your book?
The Household Awesome is on Amazon right now. I'm working on the Audible version. Just a quick little note. Anybody that buys the book before October 31st, all profits are going to this little dude that I met over in Kauai on vacation. 7-year-old kid, fantastic kid. He has leukemia, though, fighting it hard. So all profits are going to him. So hopefully we can get a couple people to buy the book. Like I said, so that's on Amazon. Excuse me. The white cover is the book. The red is a journal that goes along with the book. And then I have ernestwood.com. That's ERNESTWOOD.com. You can actually download a free copy of the book. It talks a little bit about the coaching course. And yeah, that's the way right now.
There we go, guys. I'll put all the links around the video or the podcast to get in touch with Ernest. If you're an entrepreneur, mid to high level entrepreneur, CEO, really want to take your life and to tweak the habits so that you can have that quality time in your relationships, that quality health and wellness, maximize your time, and to really, build your legacy, definitely get in touch with Ernest. So last question, Ernest, I'd love to know, what is the challenge you'd like to tell the audience? These are entrepreneurs, business owners, investors. They're looking to take their life and business to the next level. What would be that challenge that they could implement to take their life to the next level this week, this month?
The challenge. Oh man, that's a good one. The challenge, I always find, like, I do little challenges for myself all the time, right? Like right now I have a personal challenge that I'm aiming for 100,000 push-ups in a year. So I do 274 push-ups every single day. And what I have found is, like, creating little challenges for yourself is beautiful. Like, it just gives you, like, every single morning, I have little, like, every single day now I wake up and I know I have to do 274 push-ups. But also, like, creating those little challenges along the way. Like, hey, maybe you're not good at reading, so learn how to speed read. Like, that's a huge challenge, right? So challenge yourself to be better than you were the day before. There's a whole saying, like, if you can get 1% better every single day, like, you'll be a master in 2 years, whatever the thing is. You can look it up, and that'll be one of your challenges, right? So just always be getting better. Never be stagnant. Never think that you know everything. There is no such thing as stagnation, right? Either you're growing or you're dying. There, especially in business, either you're getting better or you're dying, man. So get better. There's nothing else besides getting better.
That's a great one. So what does it equal? Is it 10,000 push-ups?
100,000 push-ups.
100,000 push-ups in 12 months.
Yeah,
wow.
Man. One time in the Navy, though, I was on watch for a 6-hour watch. I did 1,500 push-ups. So that was like my biggest. So I do little weird things all the time, but like that's my new one, and it keeps me going. I have like 5 people with me. They're all, and a couple of those guys couldn't even do 100 push-ups when we first started, and now they're doing 274 a day. So it's pretty cool, man.
How many can you do in a row? I think I can do about 50.
On a good morning after a good night of sleep, I can hit about 93, I think, is my max right now. I'm shooting for 100. I keep missing it. I just can't get there to muscle foot. I am 50 though, man. So
I got to up my game. I got to double that.
good. We'll get you on there.
In your prime, what could you get over 100?
I think 115 was my most I ever did. But back in the day, dude, I was benching 365. Like I was a big dude. I love to lift weights. One of my best things was I did 225 24 times. And that year that I did it, the best non-lineman did it 25 times. So that, you know, in the NFL Combine. So that was one of my big things back in the day in my little town, man. That dude did it 24 freaking times. So yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. Super inspired. I'm going to go do some push-ups. Everyone at home, please reach out to Ernest, get in touch, read his books, download his books, and get some coaching from him if you really want to maximize your work-life balance. The high end. Oh, let me start it again. I'll edit that out.
High achievers, my friend.
The High Achievers Coach. Get in touch with Ernest, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the podcast, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Zach. Have a great night, man.
Here we go.